So I'll go back to the top of at your check. Captain Food takes a long look at the ship and then nods. He says, Captain Worram, I can't think of anything else that would give me quite as much pleasure right now, as long as you don't need me to do any of the fine detail work. He heads around towards the rear of the ship to look at those engines, where a man of his skill knows that buildup has already, is definitely there after these years under the tarp. As he does, and you take another look, you notice that the engine outputs for his ion turbines appear to be a bit wider than is standard on a Z95. Exactly. This isn't entirely a stock ship, even underneath the fancy livery. Looks like you've got a pretty nice bird.
So he just watched the captain walk around to the rear of the ship. I imagine he was still kind of like standing
he's taking
by
it
the
in.
cockpit. When he was saying, "Would you give me a hand with it?" So he turns to and looks down at Zeef, who's still checking his teeth in the underside of the chromium finish, and just like, Zeef, and just kind of startles him out of his kind of what he was doing. He's like, "We'll probably be here for a few hours. The ship's been here. The ship's been sitting here for a while. I'll meet you at the expat club later if you have I know your investigation is still ongoing, but feel free to call me if you need any support."
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Xavix Rathamith lets you know that he's going to stay because he's going to travel back with Captain Food after Worram flies back.
So Worram then ducks his large bulk under the outstretched wing of the Z95 and meets up with Captain Food, draws his goo gun from out of his tool belt, and they set to work.
Excellent.
Getting the
Cool.
ship back up to speed.
When the camera returns to you after some time, we'll make a roll and see if you've generated some boosts for yourself or whatever during the race.
I have
by
one more
really fine tuning. If we got scenes to do in here, absolutely.
I don't have the slide open, so I don't know what else is populating the room. But are there any miscellaneous docking bay workers milling around?
Probably not in this room immediately, but just outside of the hangar doors.
Like a hangar bay employee kind of thing.
Of course.
Slider wheeling.
So Zeef speaks briefly with Worram about staying behind with Captain Food to work on the ship. And with that settled, he puts his hands in his trench coat pockets and sort of sidles out of the hangar, out of that specific docking bay into the greater hangar facility. He goes up to basically the first employee that he finds, and I'm going to use a skill. I'm going to use my bot info talent.
Excellent.
To find out a little bit more, if I can, about the connection between the off-world docking bay activity and Dialon and the drug activity, etc.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is a guy that you have had contact with before. He's like a CI of yours who works up here. This is a Celestian who is a fuel line hauler here who works on refueling transports that need that on top of picking up their cargo. So he's not always working all the time, and he's got plenty of time to keep an eye open. And because you've got a talent, gives you an automatic success on a check, or do you still roll the check and it buffs it? How's it work?
It's an automatic success if I have the credits for it. It is 50 times the difficulty of the check.
Okay, excellent.
That's what I spend, and then it's an automatic success.
So it would be 100 credits worth of info for this guy to spill. So if you've got 100 credits to spend, he's got some info for you, Zeef.
What is a synonym for numb?
Oh.
Well, this guy's name to be 8 something.
8 sharp.
8.
Right, like numb. Yeah. 8
His name
sharp.
is 8 Sens. Sens isn't sensitive.
There you go. Sens. S-E-N-S.
Yeah.
8 Sens. All right, yeah, so you have found 8 Sens, a Celestian power tech who works up here at the landing platform. You helped out some family of his who are living down in Fishtown now, and he's supporting them with his job up here. You pass him 100 credits, and he does let you know that there were maybe some passengers who've been getting off of transports from, he goes, I don't know if they were coming from Nalhutta or Nar Shaddaa specifically, but they were definitely core hut space route transport that have been coming in.
Okay. Clues.
So those are probably the transports that have been dropping off Karkaro brother guys who might have been coming from Nar Shaddaa. He says, if you want me to pay attention, I wasn't looking for any patterns or anything, but, there's been maybe 5 or 6 ships that have dropped off unlisted passengers recently. Something going on, Zeef?
Zeef fishes around in his pocket just loud enough to make sure that the credit ship's rattling can be heard, but doesn't offer up any more money and says it would be, sure would be great if maybe some kind of a manifester with those transponders happened to get misplaced around here, don't you think? Things like that go missing all the time, I'm sure.
He says, maybe I'll look at take a look in the trash cans over at the control office, I'll poke around in the dumpsters out back. Or maybe you come by and poke around in the dumpsters tomorrow. We'll see what I can find.
Zeef
He puts his hand out for the rest of the credits.
Zeef flashes a grin much wider than a human is capable of giving, and then just flicks 2 more credits into the air with his thumb.
All right, absolutely. 200 credits down, and if you come back tomorrow and check around the landing platform, dumpsters, maybe you'll find some information, that'll help you out. You're going to have to make time to come back up here tomorrow night, though.
Right.
So we're going to have to remember to put that on Zeef's itinerary.
I'm going to write that down right now.
Yeah. Xavix.
Hey, Dan, can you add the 200 credits for my my skill?
Yeah. Xavix, it appears that you were dragged out here for no damn reason at all, as far as you can be concerned.
Hey, you supervising the facilitation of this race.
Right.
I actually wanted to work on some
charge
stuff back at the thing. Can I go back to the Expat Club so I can go work on some stuff?
You can, certainly. That was what was going to happen next anyway. You were dragged out here unnecessarily, but as the guy who's in charge of the thing, it might,
Well, now I
had to be here to
that
grease the
dude
wheels.
is kind of a xenophobe. And
You're
maybe
leaving him
some of the
here
reason
with
why the
your
Expat
most
Club isn't,
alien friend. Yes.
Right.
Right.
You're his-
They
You're his
invited the
token
Imperial
blue friend
Remnant.
now. You're doing that.
Well, I mean, he's going to be working side by side with Worram, a very alien.
I'm not a xenophobe. I took a selfie with a Pantoran Jedi earlier. I'm a man of the galaxy.
Right.
I
let an Ithorium fly my spaceship.
Yeah, I let a filthy Ithorian touch my stuff. I'm not racist.
Wow.
How can you even suggest that?
He's going to be working with Worram. Listen, I see the scene this afternoon where they're both working on an engine, and they're like their hands are right next to each other, working on the engine, and they notice that with the grease, his hands and Worram's hands are the same color underneath the engine grease when they're covered in engine grease, as they're both, and it's going to be a beautiful scene.
Cool. I'll make sure that Ebony and Ivory plays in the soundtrack during that
that
scene.
The old lady next door with the mouthful of chew is just as disgusting as he is.
That is totally what Worram is doing right now.
That's
what I'm saying. Is
but,
this guy is a gross xenophobe, but you've got him shoulder to shoulder with the most alien in the party, doing exactly what he loves for the rest of the day that he hasn't been able to do in years.
This was Worram trying to redeem the space racist. This
is going to work.
Okay, so on my way back to the Expat Club, I'm going to meditate in that little gondola.
Please.
Nice.
To deal with the strain of having to deal with all of this. I understand.
And kind of contemplate it upon a few certain things that
Zeef
will probably come up later.
Okay, good luck. I think that should add a difficulty to his meditation.
Absolutely.
You want to do a roll?
I think that'd be worth it.
You want to actually make a roll and get some extra juice out of it instead of just okay, cool. Go ahead and make is this you want to make a lore check, or do you want to just make a general discipline check to try to focus yourself and get a rundown of what you got to do?
Yeah, a general discipline check.
Excellent. It's going to be hard.
I'm going to be focusing on the rings when I get there.
Sure, it's going to be hard because of the scope of the task in front of you, and there's going to be a setback because you've got a Gungan who's swinging from the handrails and bouncing on the seats. It's like you brought a 14-year-old full of sugar
Who's the gunman
on
that's
the
bouncing around?
metro.
It's me.
Zeef.
Oh, are you doing that?
Zeef is coming back with you. Yeah.
Zeef is coming back with you. Yeah.
Are you bouncing around though?
I'm actually, I don't know if I'm that exuberant. I had a rough yesterday, and he's like, he's back on his feet
Fair
and everything, but he might still be a little more subdued than that. But I'm definitely still being distracting. Like maybe I'm like eating a snack really fucking loudly.
He's still giving you a setback, but it's not 2 setbacks worth of.
Still a
Gungan.
Gungan.
Yeah.
I'm like
full
of the day.
Gungan.
I'm trying to clear my. I'm very loudly clearing my sinuses behind
being around the.
You spent half an hour clearing your sinuses during the trip back.
I spent a really long time clearing my sinuses, and I'm just that much too close to Xavix for him to be able to just Jedi it away, and it's echoing into his meditation.
It's a huge space too. You could be on the other side of this and completely out of
Oh
earshot,
yeah,
but you're not.
no. The meme,
you're in the same
the meme with
room
all the
as
urinals,
Zeef.
and then the 2 guys at the end. Like that's Zeef, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's Gungan culture. I'm going to go ahead and say that Gungans do that.
There are seats for 200 and standing room for another 100 people on this gondola, and yeah, you are never not within 7 feet of Xavix for the entire hour trip. But Xavix, you can make a discipline check against 3 purples and a setback, and if you succeed,
Not punch you in the face.
I will give you extra insight on the task ahead. Absolutely.
Hey, what you thinking about, Xavi?
Wow, a lot of success. 3 strain, because Zeef is just fucking. Normally,
you're gonna find another racer.
Looking at
you
you.
find
How's it you doing?
quiet contemplation where your mind can ask itself questions and the Force can give you answers from the universe. But instead of your mind asking you those questions, you've got a Gungan asking you those questions while you're trying to meditate. But the answers do still come. So you take 3 strain, but you get 4 successes, which is a good number of successes worth of insight. As you reflect, you go, okay, well, I've got 3 racers, and presumably the Hutt racer is also going to have a ship, because the Hutt said they want to put somebody in the race. I've got Halloran, and I've got Worram, and a ship now. That's racers. The rings are being worked on. I've got half a track's worth of rings, but you know what? We can space them out and make this work if we need to, if there aren't more on planet. Otherwise, who knows? Maybe we can use nav buoys in between the rings to sketch out the course, and they only have to hit this many rings, but we'll still use nav buoys instead of rings. We'll make it work. It'll work. We've got to get those rings up and running, and then I've got to plan a course, and once that's done, that's done. The hard part is going to be getting all of the rest of the admin for this setup of when the actual race happens. How are we going to make money off this via people watching? And that means coordinating the cartel and the expats. You can handle the rings and the course planning probably from the expat club today. Dealing with the expat club and the Hutt cartel interfacing is its whole own nest of gundarks that you shouldn't be getting into now. But things are pretty squared away now that you've got 3 racers and 3 ships and a ring situation and quasi-permission with the Hutts. All of your balls are rolling.
No wayward balls.
You know the clip of Jonathan Frakes, the supercut from that Fact or Fiction show, just asking hella questions? That was Zeef to Xavix for the car ride home. Would you ever spend the night in a haunted museum? Like, you ever walked into a room and forgotten what it was you came in there for? You ever done this?
You're a Jedi. Are ghosts real? A Jedi would know, right?
Have you ever stabbed and then after a 30-second pause? Have you ever killed a ghost?
Have you ever stabbed a guy?
Yeah. Have you ever fought a ghost with a lightsaber?
Have you ever
how'd you
fought
put your
a ghost
lightsaber?
with 2 lightsabers whilst jumping through the air sideways?
Yeah, he's free associating each question into the next question is reminding him of something else that he wants to ask.
Exactly. So you have that going on, but honestly, Xavix, I don't have more to dish out to you in terms of insight because Xavix is well on the way to getting this done. He just needs to go make the final couple of checks in the places where the people who aren't on board with it yet get on board with it. and then like actually plan the racetrack, which doesn't mean we have to actually plan the racetrack. It just means we make some rolls that represent the fact that a racetrack gets planned. We don't need to literally do that. We just need to make rolls that say that it happened.
Does Xavix need to do anything else to sort of sell the deception of how he's promised both parties that the other one's going to throw it?
Oh hell yeah!
Okay.
That part is big, and definitely that's that whole interface between the Expat Club and Hut Cartel stuff. That's going to take like 2 days worth of back and forth, which means we should deal with the rings this afternoon and not start on that unless we want to. All right. So Master Silverstar, despite Zeef's constant interruptions, you manage to focus your mind on the task ahead during the journey on the gondola back. There's a quick trip in the hover limousine down the highway, and then you're entering back into Fishtown. You see that the troopers are still going door to door through the streets of the town, presumably looking for their missing compatriot from the night before. You and Zeef head through. You see a squad of 3 troopers break in door to a domicile when no one answers to their knocking. And then you're heading up past the shops, and the troopers standing by the armored vehicle at the entrance to the expat compound wave your repulsor limo through. The droid can drop you at the compound or over at the landing platform at your convenience, Master Silverstar.
I turn over to Zeef and ask, where did we hide the body again?
You didn't. You left it lying in the street.
Misa wanted to go back there, but we kind of ran out of time and had other things to worry about. Maybe Wisa could sort of just do a drive by our old place, just real casual like, and just sort of see what we see.
It's not. Yeah, you're not inconspicuous.
Well, we're in a speeder at least, right?
You're in an expat hover limo.
It's
not too far off of the main drag. We could legit make a legitimate case that we were passing.
You could make that
area.
Loop. Right, yeah. You could go back.
And that's all I'm saying. Let's just make
a
quick loop, see if our house is like swarming with activity, or if like they've clearly found the body.
Allow me to update the map before you guys make your loop, okay? Because things have developed, obviously, in your couple of hours dicking around up at the
me and my big
hangar
blaster
bays and landing platform. You know.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Obviously,
for the record, he had it coming.
The place with the hole blown in the wall, and the Aqualash. Oh yeah, there are Aqualash.
Oh yeah, there's still good
claimed
men
that they were going to
still hanging out.
Yeah, they were watching your place for you, right? Well, it was.
Oh god,
overnight.
We're gonna drive by and they're gonna be like, "Hey, Zeef!"
Why are we going by there?
Because we want to know if the body is still there, if it's been discovered, if the Imperials are like combing through our building, what the sitch is. Just doing a little bit of recon, but we're only gonna take one pass. It'll be real casual, and just pretend like we're some looky-loos from the expat club that heard there was some action in town. You know,
fly casual.
Yeah, just fly casual.
The utility droid socketed into the front of the speeder hoots at you with concern, but swings off to the right as it passes the droid shop and goes up past Zeef's place. You can see that there are 3 stormtroopers standing in the street out in front of your place, but a pair of Aqualash in neoprene ponchos are standing with arms crossed in front of the front door, and there's a third one standing next to the alley that leads back to your garage.
Good men.
The stormtroopers appear to be questioning these Aqualash, but they take a good long look at the hover limo as you pass by. You pass the brewery and then take another right and head back to the expat compound, and can go As I said, they can park you in the garage underneath the building, or let you at the front, or take you to the landing platform, wherever.
Can we go to the landing platform?
Absolutely. With the Imperial shuttles no longer present, which is odd, you're able to pull right up in front of the hangar building. The massive main door is open, and there are two stormtroopers standing quite a ways apart at opposite sides of the wide opening that could fit a transport, like a light freighter, through it. There's the cavernous main hall, and then on either side are two hangars. In the first one on the left were the race ring. The Shellade mechanics, the maintenance and janitorial workers from the expat club have been slowly doing their best to get these rings up and running. And one of them ponderously makes his way over to you and reaches up with a data slate where all 8 of the rings that you have here are now illuminated in green on the display. Because they've been working since you gave them the job.
Looks like you've been doing good. Is there anything that I can do to help you keep going?
He gestures towards the rings and croaks out that the job is done here. They're ready for you to program them with their positioning.
Well, we're still missing about 8 of them. Do you think that we could make, or I could use you to make something that, like a buoy or something like that, like we said earlier? Is that something he could, maybe even a repeater that we could use to distance them a little bit further apart?
The rings don't have to be spaced like particularly close. You can use this many rings to make a course. It's just not as many as there usually are, basically. Gotcha. Yeah, they don't. It's not like, oh, they won't be in range of each other because we don't have enough. Like, they'll work. It's just usually a race would be longer than this. It would be a pretty tight race, but you've got some pretty interesting terrain. You know what I mean? It would just affect. It's going to affect the difficulty of setting up the race, basically. You know,
always do.
It'll be a short track, but we're going up a volcano. You know, kind of thing. Or we could do more laps. You're right. The game, the way this system deals with races is they're usually considered only one lap with multiple phases, but you could just go through the phases twice. You know what I mean? And the race would just be twice as long. So we could totally do that and have the race be like. Because it's usually take off straight away, 1, 2, 3, you know, event stages of chicanes or through the tunnels or fucking the crosswire, up the volcano, and then the final straightaway. But you just make that final and starting straightaway into the transition into the next go through the thing. It'll totally work fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought
then,
8 worked and watched Resistance again. And realized it was more.
I think Xavix will thank the creature that helped out, settle his debt, you know, whatever he owes for that.
They work here, so.
Oh, okay, so they're part of the expat thing. And then inform them that we have eventually another fighter will be coming in place if we could set up a spot for him to land.
He slowly responds that they will get the number 3 hangar ready.
Maybe I can turn over to Zeef and let him know, hey, if you want to let Worram know that he's got hangar 3 and it'll be ready and available for him.
Zeef pulls out a little comlink and raises Worram. Just goes, hey, Paolo, we got landing pad number 3 all ready to go for you, sir. Just bring her on over.
Worram, do you want to make a check before you respond? Because you've been working for about 2 hours now to see how your either mechanics or social. You're going to make one of each. Which one are you going to make first, and then you'll make the other one when you wrap up before you take off? To see how things are going with food and the ship.
Sure, I'll do the. I guess I'll do the social first.
Okay, excellent. It's going to be a hard check. See if you've brought this crotchety old dinosaur around.
Triumph. Nice. Success and triumph.
Excellent. So things have gone really well with food as you've been working with him over these past few hours, Worram. He's from a planet you find out that had starfighter and spacefaring technology, but he is absolutely entranced by the fact that like your lifestyle is a sect of your planet and race that is like the Starfarers. He goes, starfighters were about the peak of technology on my planet, even within my lifetime, if you would believe that. I understand I'm a little backwards. You see, it was just us, and then all of a sudden it was a whole galaxy, and that was this ship hadn't been built yet.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that Worm is kind of like just nodding along, and so he talks about growing up on one of the great Ithorian herd ships and describing like its size, and it's thousands of meters across and housing tens of thousands of Ithorians, traveling, landing on different like worlds for trading and stuff, and seeing the galaxy, like that being his whole childhood youth experience basically. So
he finds this completely mystifying and like the most spectacular thing that anyone could describe, and says, I understand the tragedy that's befallen your people as well. Well, I've heard of it. I don't think understand is the right word.
And Worm kind of, you can see like he was really excited to talk about the herd ships where he grew up, and just kind of taking his mind off of to a happier place basically. And
sure,
that kind of, it just kind of like his whole kind of just emotion just kind of settles a little bit. Like he just like took a he's happy he's working on a ship again and everything, and then like talking about his home and the ship's there and everything, and then like just the reminder. Like,
allow me to try to steer it around again then, because you had a triumph there and I don't want to leave it on a down note. Food picks up on this. He turns out to be a very perceptive man on top of everything else as you've been working together.
But he
says,
exterior.
He says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to change the topic. I only mean to say, perhaps allow me to bring this up to you. The skills to which you've now devoted your entire life are all the more important to your people. They've befallen a tragedy, but perhaps of all of them, you might be in the best position now to help them.
Yeah, I think that would, getting along well. He realizes that, now they really need, every captain and pilot that they have, because, they don't have a home anymore. Their home is the stars for the foreseeable future anyway.
The mountain starts to in the background.
And then the comm link buzzes, and it's Zeef asking how things have been going up there.
Do you want me to do
saying that you've got a bay open?
Or,
no, you're going to do that before you take off, because you've got still probably more time worth of work. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So he comes back. We're making very good, making really good progress up here. Hangar 3, you said. We'll be there.
All right, excellent. All right, Zeef, I'm going to keep the camera down with you guys here at the XPAD, so that if Xavix has more to get to, because he's got sort of the longest quest log out of all of you guys, and you've got a lot to do too, frankly, so I want to keep focused on you guys, because you're down there now. The Imperial troops are out, and they're looking around. They're investigating. As you went past the house, there was no body in the street, and they were not actively, there wasn't a murder scene investigation going on. So something happened between when you shot that guy and left, immediately. And they didn't even know they were missing a stormtrooper until the next morning, frankly. And as you look back, you remember that there was someone else in the shadow. When you came out of your house and all this was going down, as you came around through the alley and you saw everybody else piling into the speeder, the crowd was dispersed. You dealt with the widow, there were these 3 stormtroopers, and then across the street, you could just see the glow of the coal of his spice stick, but you saw that Junior was watching everything go down from an alley across the street as well.
That's right.
He's the Hutt Cartel sort
Junior.
of under capo who hangs out in the lower bar at the
Expat Club. Yep.
And is their Fishtown guy. So he might be right inside.
Master Jedi, I've got a couple things I'd like to take care of downstairs. Are you going to need me for anything else?
No, not at all.
All right. Zeef holds up his comm link, is sort of a, like, call me if you need me gesture, and then heads off to the elevator, making his way down to the outer bar of the lower level of the Expat Club.
Sure. So the landing pad is actually separate from the building. You head back out into the cold weather and trudge across the Ferrocrete landing pad here. Snow is blowing across it now that the stormtroopers have something better to do than sweep a Ferrocrete landing pad with their time. Your frog hackles come up a little bit as you walk between the 2 stormtroopers standing at the bottom of the wide stair up into the Expat Club. And now that you've been the guest of Master Silverstar a few times and stayed overnight in his suite, you notice that the droid that's sort of at the hostess's table there extends her hand to offer you entry directly into the main room, and the full club. You've been recognized by the bots here.
Pays to have rich friends, I guess.
And as you head that way, past the security droid, you see that Junior is there with his massive, shaggy white Gagoran bodyguard. There are a few other patrons here in the outer bar, and Sick Ranchez, the wild-haired, ornery gentleman who crashed Xavix's soiree his first night in the suite. Yes, you've met him once before. Exactly. He's at his table in the corner playing Hand of Sabak with an Aqualesh and sharing a bottle of Corellian whiskey. Spider gives you a nod and raises his drink to you as you come in.
I'm going to make my way into the Expat Club as well.
Okay. Are you going to join Zeef downstairs? Okay, excellent. So you're there as well, Xavix.
Nice. I've got some Jedi muscle in this conversation all of a sudden.
Both of your
this is much better.
I need to talk with Spider anyway. Junior, if it was just Junior, I think I would have stayed out of it and been like, whatever. But Spider, I actually need to deal with because I've...
Did I say Spider was there? Because
no, Spider's not here. It's just Junior.
You said Junior and his bodyguard.
Okay, well, I'll still join. I'll help
anything you say to Junior is going to get back to Spider instantly. Though.
Okay,
he's like Spider's boy. So
okay.
Yeah, he's the lieutenant for the mob boss. Yeah.
Got it. I'll join in then.
Awesome. Well, in that case, Zeef moves in, walking past Sick Ranchez and just sort of like placing a hello hand on his shoulder, but not really interacting with him at all.
He's in the far back.
Oh, okay.
Spider is like right by the door here.
Like I said, I don't have the slide in front of me because the iPad's
fair
not
enough.
here.
So you come in through the door. It's a long, narrow bar. As you come in through the main lobby,
Junior's like immediately there.
Yeah, the bar is to your right, and it's Junior right there, kind of, like 2 or 3 stools from the door, but so he can clock everybody. And right next to him is this huge Gagoran. In the back corner is a table where Sick Ranchez hangs out.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So Zeef enters the bar and just walks right past Spider without looking at him, over to the bar.
I love it.
And orders a drink. He waits for his drink for like 5 minutes, finally gets it, takes a little sip, turns around, walks back over to the Spider. Walks back over to Junior and says, "Hey," and says, "Hello. How you doing?"
Zeef, I was going to ask you the same question. Looks like you had a lot of trouble last night, pal.
Zeef lights up a death stick and does not reply.
Okay.
Sort of waiting for him to
light
get
up
to
a
it.
death stick. Do you just vape
hold
a
on.
death stick?
Are you taking? You're doing a death stick.
I'm doing a death stick. I'm blowing some smoke out my big old Gungan mouth.
That is fine. That is fine. Death
I'm also
sticks
having
are
a
a
drink
real
there.
thing that do a thing. That's all I'm saying. Is that if you are doing a death stick, that's cool. But Zeef is going to do a death stick. Okay. So
no, in that case, no, because I was just doing it. I was just doing it for cosmetic effects.
If you want to light up a
Fine, Mister. Not let us have any fun. I won't do a death stick, Mom.
Kyle, I'm totally fine with you lighting up a spice stick like he was doing last night, a space cigarette, but a death stick is a literal thing in the game. That's what I mean. We got spice sticks.
It like kills you a little bit every time you take one.
That makes sense. Yeah. It probably gives you wounds or whatever.
Yeah, it's a literal death stick because it's Star Wars and all of our illusions are super. It adds whatever
to
everything
at this
you
point,
try to do.
Okay,
and reduces your connection to the Force.
Anyway, I'll just retake that whole thing then.
Hello, Zeef. I've been waiting for you, Paolo. I thought we were going to talk last night, but you seemed pretty heated. You've just got problems on top of problems, my friend.
What do you want?
Same thing I've always wanted. For you to go have a conversation with Spider, and at the end of the conversation, when he asks you the same question he's been asking you say yes instead of no. That's all I want, Zeef. And then your life gets better, and my life gets better, and Spider is happy, and Vork is happy. That's all I want, Zeef. I want you to take this very lucrative job offer that for some reason the boss tells me to continue extending.
He leans in close and he goes,
and if you do, then I'll tell you where that dead stormtrooper is before the rest of these bucketheads finish turning your town upside. And then maybe you can get it out of the place I've stashed it.
Can I spend a destiny point?
And he leans back. Sure. Absolutely.
As soon as he leans back, I turn off the holo recorder on my wrist. And
Done.
Smile at him.
He goes,
congratulations, Zeef. You now have a recording that says that you killed a stormtrooper.
Yeah, but only one of us is in the wind. They know where to find your ass.
Yeah, in the hut compound.
He pays his tab and walks out. He goes,
I guess I'll tell Spider you said no.
Before he walks out, I'll stop him.
Sure.
I've got a word with him as well.
All right, so you buttonhole him as he heads for the door. He goes,
our new blue friend.
He looks back and forth between you and Zeef and goes,
of course.
Tell him I need another meeting with Spider if he can come meet me at my suite.
He leans back. He doesn't have he can't really pull a face with an Aqualesh face, but he leans back and he goes,
Spider doesn't come to Fishtown. That's what he has me for. If you want to talk to Spider, you can come talk to Spider. While Vork's not on the planet, Spider is like Vork. You think Vork would come down here and talk to you?
He laughs. The Gagoran laughs too.
All right then. If you can only pass along a message, that'd be fine too.
What's the message?
I need to work with the Hutts, the Hutts to work on marketing this whole thing out to the rest of the galaxy so we can make some money on it. I'm sure they'd want to get back to me on this.
He mulls this over and nods. He goes,
they do like money, and Vork does like sponsor. I'll tell Spider you want to talk.
Can he calm you?
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Says if he has your gram, he'll send you one. And then he walks out. All right. Zeef, a little bit of a bomb's been dropped. The cartel stashed that stormtrooper someplace that presumably the other stormtroopers will find it, which won't be great for the people of Fishtown, I guess.
Right. I mean, if he stashed it last night, then maybe the Aqualish that you had guarding the place would have seen where he moved it to.
Yeah, but I can't go ask them because the stormtroopers are over there.
Well, I mean, they must have a comm link or something, right?
That's true. I mean, true.
You're in contact with the sister of the one, right? Because it was her brothers, right?
Exactly.
The one that you're doing the case for.
It was her brothers and brothers-in-law. Exactly.
With her, that would be reasonable.
I don't think the holo recording that I just recorded implicates Zeef by name. I don't think that Junior said his name at any point, and it's my understanding that if you record someone, you're just recording their body talking forwards, but you don't see the person holding the recorder.
We stashed that stormtrooper.
And I'm sure I could do some editing so that it's just the clip of him like, I'll tell you where I stashed that stormtrooper, like playing on a loop. Yeah. Like I could always just turn that in, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Let the Imperials and the Hutts just duke it out. Like let them
we'll just
solve
see
our problems for us, you know.
Hey, yeah.
Who makes the computer check to erase the metadata on the recording? You know, we'll do some slicing. It'll be fun. You've got a droid. Is he a slicer?
I think that's on it. I think he has that on his sheet.
Computers,
he can slice into stuff.
He's got like 2 ranks of computers or something.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So we got the stomp to do it. Yeah. So you've got some juice out of this, you know. Spider's here. After Junior was there, after he leaves, Mr. Ranchez comes over and says, "You two both look like you're in the thick of things."
Zeef buys Ranchez a drink.
He says, "Talk to me, boys. I'm sure I won't be of much help, but, well, you're more interesting than anything else going on around here."
I don't suppose he'd know anything about what the stormtroopers are up to, why they've mobilized. He's kind of like has such a disdain for them. I doubt he'd be keeping tabs on like their day-to-day.
Says the Queen Bee has something in her bonnet, and now she's got all her bucket heads stirring the waters down in town. He narrows his eyes and he says, "Aren't you supposed to be in charge down there?"
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing about Imperials showing up. The power changes hands pretty quickly. It gets real murky.
His gaze shifts over to Xavix. He goes, "If only we had a specialist in dealing with Imperial problems."
I mean, I could always help out.
Says, "Don't go causing any bloodbaths, man." But just get everything wrapped up. I understand they're supposed to leave once this race of yours is run, Mr. Silverstar, but now if they've got something to look for in town, I'm sure they've got another reason to stay.
I think right now they have a little bit, but a single soldier shouldn't really, stop an entire group from staying. I mean, it'd be an excess, but we'll see how things go. We still have to get them out, though.
No, but I don't think a single soldier is an insufficient excuse for them to attempt to occupy the town.
You think they have something else they're occupying for?
Says, they're Imperials. They occupy, Mr. Silverstar. Perhaps you don't understand their mindset. Your youth is maybe a detriment in this respect, but that's what they do. They come, they take. If you give them a reason to stay, they'll take it. Then more of them will arrive. We're only on the very edge of hut space, Mr. Silverstar. Says, yes, but I understand if you give them reasons to leave, you might draw the attention of the Hutts. He goes,
I'm not part of the little. About what's going on.
Says, I might not be a part of the little club here now, but that doesn't mean I wasn't always a one member. I understand it's a dangerous time in the galaxy for all sorts of people, and you don't necessarily want to draw the wrong kind of eyes to yourself. He looks back and forth. Either. I know the Hutts are distasteful, but compared to the Imperials, they're practically a stable power structure in this part of the galaxy. And right here on the edge of Hutt space, they provide a matter of safety. We have our independence out here, but only because of the stability they've provided on the planet. He shakes his head and says, it's not an easy situation, but, well, things are getting worse, Mr. Silverstar, and I'm old enough that I'd rather see them getting better in what time I have left. He goes, you've been good for this place, Zeef. Things were been better here for the last 5 years. Let's maybe make sure they stay that way.
Zeef looks at him and says, if you think that's up to me, you're dumber than you look.
He says, if you think that it isn't up to you, Zeef, then you underestimate yourself.
Zeef just kind of rolls his eyes and walks away from the conversation.
Yeah, as Xavix finishes his drink and walks out towards the turbolifts to go back up to the suite.